Call the meeting to order. Shall we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Got any questions, Dan?
Not so far.
Next, we need to approve the minutes. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let's have it. Treasurer's report.
The balance in the general fund as of March 31st, 2025 is $4,726,107.75. For the most part, the receipts and the expenditures in the general fund reflect normal activity for March. Revenues in the general fund are at 42.22% of budget, and expenditures are at 20.88% of budget. For a more detailed presentation of our current financial position, I would refer you to your monthly booklet.
Okay, do we have a motion to pay the bills?
I move to ratify a check in the general fund in the amount of $434.49 and further move to authorize payment of same. I move to ratify the ACH electronic payments in the general fund in the amount of $1,000 and further move to authorize payment of same. I move to ratify the ACH electronic payments in the streetlight fund and the general fund in the amount of $6,209.86 and further move to authorize payment of same. I move to approve the list of checks in all funds in the amount of $891,193.15 and further move to authorize payment of same. I move to ratify the U.S. bank credit card transactions for the month of March 2025 in the amount of $11,550.19. I move to ratify the check payment in the Horsham Township Charitable Foundation account in the amount of $3,050 and further move to authorize payment of same.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next, we need to consider a resolution for the waiver of land development with conditions for J.R. Quigley at 701 Horsham Road to place an accessory structure on the existing parking lot. Mr. Walker?
You have a resolution in your packet with the condition that you asked that it be according to exhibit and according to the plan that he showed you when you reviewed his request for a waiver. So the resolution is ready for your consideration this evening.
Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the resolution as proposed, approving a waiver of land development with conditions for J.R. Quigley, 701 Horsham Road, to place an accessory structure shed on the existing parking lot. Second.
Moved and seconded. This is roll call vote.
Mr. Glemser, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Slaff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Wade, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Chunky, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Next, we have to consider a resolution designating an agent to sign and execute all required forms and documents for the purpose of obtaining financial equipment for the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program with regards to 234 McKean Road.
This is a property on McKean Road that has continuously been flooded over many decades. And we have in the past put in for, basically it's called FEMA buyout, where FEMA buys the land and then turns it over to the township, municipality. And we put in again after the September 2021 tropical storm Hurricane Ida, I should say, and the tornado. The house was hit very hard again. It's uninhabitable. The family has since moved and lives at a new home elsewhere, so that it hasn't been lived in since that evening of the tornado and the flood. This is McKean Road. Come on. Hold on. There we go. This is McKean Road. Out this way is Limekill Pike, and then this is the sharp bend on McKean Road. Many of us know this is the Nagel house, so the Nagels no longer live there, but This is the Nagel House. There's a driveway that comes in. What will happen is FEMA will demolish any structures on the property at their cost. They will make sure the swimming pool is abandoned and filled in, and they will leave a driveway. There's a little bridge over the creek. That's what causes the flood. The creek comes down here and winds around here. So the driveway and a bridge so we can access the property. They will transfer the property to the township is about 1.77 acres. They will transfer it to the township with a deed restriction that it must remain open space. So we'll keep a portion of the driveway with the bridge in place if we ever have to access the property, but we will just let it go back to its natural state of woods in the future.
I see where you're saying the creek or tributary goes where the driveway goes over it. Does that also split behind the property? It looks like
Yes,
There's a line there?
Yeah, there's another creek back here too.
Okay.
So there's two. So it's heavily impacted by floodplain and floodways. This property would not be able to be built today if someone came forward today to put a house on it. As we've been trying for decades to do this, finally we got up to the FEMA queue, and there's no cost to the township for this. So again, we've been at it since we put our application in 2022, after the new year, after the hurricane and the flood. So we've been at it for about 3 years now. So hopefully it'll all happen this year and then be transferred to the township.
just have two additional questions looking at the image. Is the triangle just the computer mouse arrow, or is that
Yes.
another? Okay.
Yep.
And what is the secondary structure on the property?
This is just a accessory building. It's like a little garage.
Okay.
It's a garage.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move to approve the resolution as proposed, designated William Gilday Walker, Township Manager, to sign and execute all required forms and documents for the purpose of obtaining financial assistance for the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program in regards to 234 McKean Road.
Second?
Moved and seconded. It's a roll call vote.
Mr. Glemser, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Slaff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Wade, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Chunky, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Next item is to introduce an ordinance amending the township zoning ordinance and map to facilitate the implementation of the final preferred land use plan for the former Naval Air Station Joint Willow Grove Air Base.
As council's aware, the HLRA is continuing negotiations with the Navy to phase in the property. We started that a couple years ago now. As you know, we approached the Navy and asked them if they would consider it a phased-in approach, since there are sections and pieces of the base property that are not contaminated, rather than just waiting to give us the whole 900 acres at one time. And they did agree, and we've been negotiating with them since. The HLRA has not been this far along in our negotiations ever. So they did sign a term sheet with the Navy for phase one, and we want to be ready. We want to be ready. The whole base is zoned industrial, so if something moves very quickly, we sometimes we don't have the time. There's state laws that we have to follow when changing zoning and having public hearings and stuff. And in industrial, you could have a sea of warehouse industrial buildings, and we don't want that on 611. That's not part of the reuse plan, and that's not what the community wanted when they helped form that reuse plan. So I think it'll also be helping the HLRA, this ordinance, to help them along in their negotiations with the Navy to start securing pieces of the property. So what you're doing tonight is just an introduction and followed by a resolution to establish a public hearing where we will have a lot more, discussion and a map to put on the screen of what the zoning would look like. But tonight you're just introducing that, so we're ready if something moves quick.
I move to introduce the ordinance as proposed, amending the township zoning ordinance and map to facilitate the implementation of the final preferred land use plan for the former Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base Willow Grove.
Second.
Moved and seconded. This is a roll call vote.
Mr. Glemser, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Slaff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Wade, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Chunky, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Next item is to consider a resolution establishing a time and a place for a public hearing on the ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map to facilitate the implementation of the final preferred land use plan for the former Naval Air Station Joint Basic Willow Grove Base, Wednesday, May the 14th, 2025, at 7:45 in this auditorium.
Do we have a motion?
I move to adopt the resolution as proposed, establishing a time and place for a public hearing on the ordinance amending the Township zoning ordinance and map to facilitate the implementation of the final preferred land use plan for the we're all doing it, for the former Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base Willow Grove, Wednesday, May 14th, 2025, at 7:45 p.m. in the Horsham Township Municipal Building.
Second.
Moved and seconded. It's a roll call vote.
Mr. Glemser, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Slaff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Wade, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Chunky, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
And our last item tonight is to consider the results
Of the ADA ramps?
Go ahead.
What's the matter?
We're letting Sam do it. We didn't get there yet. Go. You can finish your introduction.
Well, I tried to. Bill, do you have something to say about the
sh-
ADA ramps?
So these ADA ramps are part of our paving project for this year, and it includes 18 ramps. We had 9 bidders, which we were very pleased about, and we had the highest being Ocean Construction LLC at $327,600. And the lowest bidder, JDC Construction Services, Inc., at $104,475. Of all the 9 bidders, we know them all and have had past experience with them all. JDC Construction Services actually got the bid last year for ADA ramps and did a good job for us. So they are the recommended lower bid for this year in the amount of $104,475 for your consideration this evening.
Move to award the ADA ramps bid to JDC Construction Services in the amount of $104,475 and hereby authorize execution of contract for the same.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. There being no further business, we'll announce that the next meeting of Horsham Township Council will be Monday, April the 28th at 7 p.m. in this auditorium. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.